Hey guys, TRex here, and here for another installment of the Nintendo Cinematic Universe. Today, we will be talking about Pokemon. The first 3 weeks before this video, we talked about the Super Mario Bros. Movie, the Legend of Zelda movie, and the Metroid movie. All the first installments of their respective trilogies. But now, we have the solo movie, Pokemon, to talk about today. I will be doing the same thing I've been doing this whole time by giving you guys the characters, the setting, and the plot points, as well as the post-credit scene at the end, and my weekly reminder that I will be talking about spoilers, so just be aware of that. Before I do that though, let me just say this. This story is probably going to be the most accurate one to the games so far. I kind of deviated a bit with the first 3 stories, but this one will be more accurate. I will have my own twists in there for sure, but this will be the most accurate one so far. That this movie will be based on Pokemon Coliseum. The biggest major difference though is that Wes, who is the main character of that game, is not the main character in this movie. He is in it, but he's not the main character. The main character is Red. He is going to have a place in this story. The characters of this movie, we have Red. His real name in this movie is going to be Mark Akai. In the games, his real name is Isamu, but I'm going to have his name be Mark. They're going to just call him Red anyway, so it doesn't really matter that much, but I'm changing his name. So we have Red, Wes, Rui, Cynthia, Cade, Nastor, Myra B, Dakim, Venus, Ein, Squirtle, Ivysaur, and Charizard as the main 3 Pokemon characters of this story. And the setting of this story will take place in the Ore region, which is where Pokemon Coliseum takes place. But it will make references to different regions. So let's get on with the plot points. It starts off showing the beautiful landscape that is the Ore region. Alright, all the Pokemon regions are nice, but the Ore regions is especially really cool, showing all kinds of scenery such as a lush forest near a date village filled with nature-filled Pokemon and just kind of like that forest area. There's clear ocean water next to Phenac City. There are water-type Pokemon kind of floundering about in that. And there's a sequence of Realgam City being shown. In the game, it's just Realgam Tower, but in this movie, there's going to be an entire city around this giant tower. If you're confused what Realgam Tower is, it's a battle tower with a giant Pokemon stadium at the top of the tower. Lastly, Mount Battle is shown. Mount Battle is going to have a lot more significance to this story than it did in the game. And at the top, there is a massive opening inside the mountain. It's kind of like a volcano, but it's not a volcano. There's just a giant opening inside of it. At the very beginning of this movie, a subspace portal, the same kind of portal that's been showing up in the end credit scenes of the first 3 movies, it shows up and it drops a mysterious, glowing sphere-like object into the mountain and releases a wave of energy outside of the mountain. It's one of the subspace particles. And it shows a team of sinister-looking thugs in matching suits. They're all led by a tall man with gray hair and a purple jumpsuit. One of the thugs reveals the man who's leading them, the guy with the gray hair and the purple jumpsuit, reveals that that dude is named Nastor, acknowledging that they found the object inside the mountain. So this is sometime after the object landed in the mountain, but it'll be shown immediately after. Before Mount Battle actually starts, there's a little lobby that leads to the start of Mount Battle. It's like a place where trainers can train their Pokemon, become stronger, all that good stuff. But before all that, there's a lobby where people are being held hostage by this dude's crew. Inside the mountain, they find what is revealed to be one of the subspace particles. They don't know anything about subspace, so the word subspace never gets thrown around this movie, but at this point, you, the audience, would know that it is one of the subspace particles. Nastor takes out a Master Ball, and he releases the Pokemon inside it, and it is not revealed what that Pokemon is in that scene. Try to guess what that Pokemon is in the comments. See if you were right. They leave the mountain area, and Nastor and his thugs are walking out of the lobby when they realize the police are surrounding that area. The group of people, including Nastor, they leave Mount Battle and they go on their speeders, avoiding the police. Now we are taken to the Kanto region. Alright, this is the only scene where the Kanto region shows up. Professor Oak is revealed he's looking at different applications that several aspiring trainers have sent in to apply to receive starter Pokemon from the Kanto region. They don't just give out starter Pokemon in this cinematic universe. You have to apply for it. He's going through these applications when he comes across a particular applicant from the Ore region, and his name is Mark Akai, who may sound familiar. He reads over it and smiles. He's reading what he's got going on with it, and he likes that one the best. So he approves it. Back in a Gate Village, the village itself is revealed, and it is said to be surrounded by a forest and a peculiar shrine at the back of the village. Kind of just on that back side, right before the forest area. In one of the houses, a young boy wakes up. Usually Pokemon protagonists are like 10 years old. This guy's a little bit older. He's 15. He wakes up, and we are introduced to him and his mother, revealing that his name is Mark and his nickname is Red. He walks downstairs in his home, where his mom tells him that Professor Oak called approving Mark's application for a starter Pokemon. Mark is very excited about this news, and he celebrates with his mother. In the next scene, a boat arrives in Phoenix City, and one of the passengers, Cynthia, the champion of the Sinnoh region, gets off, and she asks to speak with the mayor of Phoenix City. Cynthia meets the mayor, Cade, and tells him that she's visiting from the Sinnoh region on a particular mission. She tells him that she's been tracking the Cipher Syndicate. That's what this organization is called, the Cipher Syndicate. Ever since she heard that they hijacked Mount Battle after a mysterious comet crashed there, and asks him if he's heard pretty much anything. He tells her that they're all over the region, and that they were around well before the comet arrived. That's what they're referring the subspace particle to, is the comet. And that the Cipher Syndicate is stealing Pokemon from trainers as they please and taking them to Mount Battle, where they seemingly come out as malicious and hostile. But he also states that they've never come to Phoenix City. In Cipher's base in an unknown location, Nastor gets off of a call with someone and turns to one of the thugs who have entered the room. The thug tells him that the Alpha Shadow Pokemon is producing Shadow Pokemon properly, and things are going well. Nastor asks him about starter Pokemon potentially being made into Shadow Pokemon, to which the thug replies that there aren't any starter Pokemon in this particular region, the Aura region. Nastor tells him that there are Kanto starters arriving here, and to take them to the Alpha. 3 days later, Red walks out of his house and passes by his childhood friend, Rui, and she tells him that she's off to Phoenix City to go to the store. He tells her that Professor Oak approved his application to claim a starter Pokemon and is meeting him at the community center in town. Professor Oak came here from the Kanto region and is visiting Agate Village. Red makes it to the community center in Agate Village, where Professor Oak is waiting there. Red tells him he's been waiting long for this day and thanks him for accepting his application all professional-like. And Oak tells him that he's always willing to help young ones take the first steps of their journeys to achieve their dreams, if their applications did approved. Rui leaves Agate Village on her speeder and sees a group of people heading towards where she just left. The group is wearing matching outfits, but Rui notices something a bit odd. The Pokemon that's out of its Pokeball and sitting in the speeder with them, it has a dark aura around it that Pokemon traditionally don't have. She gets suspicious and decides to follow them back to Agate Village. She makes it back and spies on them from behind one of the trees. The peons, who are like these guys in matching uniforms, these kind of advanced thugs in the Cipher Syndicate, they send out their Pokemon and she sees that they all have dark auras around them, and that the Pokemon themselves seem more aggressive and ravenous than traditional Pokemon. She's in disbelief because she has never seen anything like this. The Shadow Pokemon Houndour, I'm going to reference a lot of random Pokemon, sniffs the air and it catches Rui's scent from behind one of the trees. The peon notices this and sends the Houndour after her. She runs, but the Houndour quickly catches up to her and allows the thugs with their Pokemon to catch up. She looks up in terror and the lead peon asks, "Well, what do we have here?" Back in the community center, Oak gives Red a Pokédex, saying that with this device, he can explore the world and discover all different kinds of Pokemon. He then shows Red 3 Pokeballs inside a suitcase. This might sound very familiar for those who have consistently played Pokemon games throughout the years. And Professor Oak explains that Red can choose one of these Pokemon out of this suitcase: a Charmander, a Squirtle, or a Bulbasaur. Red thinks for a moment, deciding what he wants, when an explosion occurs at the entrance of the community center, sending Red and Oak flying towards one of the walls. The suitcase with the Pokeballs inside falls off the table it was currently sitting on, closing the case and hiding the Pokeballs from view. Red makes sure Professor Oak is okay, and then he sees the thugs enter. Towards the back of the crew, he sees that Rui is tied up and that she came with the thugs. Filled with rage, he starts to stand up, but Professor Oak stops him. The lead peon tells his crew that they're here for the starter Pokemon and to look around. Frantically figuring out what to do, he sees that the thugs have not yet found the suitcase. Red slowly gets up out of the thugs' views and sneaks over, getting the suitcase, then gets behind cover, and he opens up the suitcase, revealing that the Pokeballs are still inside. The Houndour catches Red and Oak's scent and starts to walk over. Just as the Houndour is about to catch them, though, a Garchomp at the entrance starts to attack the Shadow Pokemon that are with the thugs, very much rightfully staring them. The Houndour returns only to get smacked up by the Garchomp, quite literally, and it returns to its trainer's side, revealing the trainer to be, guess who? Cynthia. Cynthia threatens them to leave, the champion of Sinnoh, and they get on their speeders and leave Agate Village in terror, with their fainted Pokemon, leaving Rui tied up. Cynthia unties Rui, and Red and Oak are relieved. They walk out of the community center where they meet Cynthia. They ask Cynthia who that was, and she tells them about the Cipher Syndicate and what the mayor of Phoenix City told her. Rui says she was going to Phoenix City anyway, and that they should talk to the mayor. Red wants to go, but but he realizes he never made his Pokemon selection. Oak tells him to just go ahead and take all three. He's clearly earned it after risking potentially his life to save these Pokemon, to make sure that all of these Pokemon in this suitcase were okay. So now Red has claimed a Charmander, a Squirtle, and a Bulbasaur. All of those are his now. Red sends them all out, and they reveal Charmander, Squirtle, and Bulbasaur for the first time. Rui and Red plan to go to Phoenix City after that. So now we are taken to a secret base in the desert, where an explosion occurs in the base. A mysterious figure sprints out of the base shortly after, with his Umbreon and Espeon following him. I'm sure you guys know who this is. Thugs running after him send out their Pokemon, but Umbreon and Espeon are holding them off. The boss of the organization, whose base he just destroyed, comes out and swears vengeance on him for his betrayal. The guy gets to his speeder, puts his Umbreon and Espeon back in their Pokeballs, and he leaves, admiring the device he stole on his way out. An armband capable of snagging Pokemon from trainers. He goes to a nearby bar with a gas station outside. He goes into the trailer where the bartender gives him a friendly greeting, revealing the mysterious person to be Wes. Wes is a regular here. He asks him if he's here for the usual, and Wes tells him it might be the last time for a while, and that he just left Team Snag'em, revealing the snagging machine he just stole. It's like the little armband thing that he has. The bartender didn't know that he was in Team Snag'em, and Wes jokes that that's usually not something that comes up in a conversation without wanting to get arrested. Let me just say this about Wes's personality real quick, alright? He's known as a mysterious person in the Pokemon games, but here, he's also pretty mysterious and kind of shady, but I think he'll end up probably being your guys' favorite character. He has a very dry sense of humor, and he's very sarcastic, but he's also somewhat lovable. Like, you can't help but love him. He'll be kind of like Yelena from the MCU. And so Wes asks the bartender if he would have snitched on him if he told him, and he says, "Oh no, guess it depends on the circumstances." Wes replies hoping that this isn't one of those times, and that he had sent an emergency dispatch to the Ore police, giving them Team Snag'em's location. He says he left Team Snag'em after finding out they were working with the Cipher Syndicate, and that he stole his portable snagging machine in the process. The difference is that in the game, that is the only snagging machine in the entire crew, but in this movie, there's multiple snagging machines, so even though he stole this, they still have plenty others. The bartender is impressed with Wes, telling him that he took down a whole empire in like 15 minutes. Wes sighs and tells him that there's the Cipher Syndicate organization to take down as well. After their conversation, he hears commotion outside. He looks out the window and sees two truckers standing next to their truck that apparently won't start. Wes hears them say that they're supposed to get this shipment of Shadow Pokémon to their guys in Phoenix City, but that their truck broke down. Wes tells the bartender that these guys are a part of Cipher, and he goes to confront them. Their Pokemon battle starts, but Wes's Umbreon and Espeon duo quickly overpower their Pokemon, and the bartender ties the truckers up and calls the police. Wes opens up the back of the truck with his Umbreon ready when he sees racks stacked next to each other, containing Pokeballs in each slot on the racks, which leaves Wes perplexed. In Phoenix City, Cynthia drops off Red and Rui and tells them that she's wanting to research this region more, but will be back to pick them up if they need her to. Cynthia drives away into the desert surrounding Phoenix City, and Red and Rui admire Phoenix City. It is a very lovely town. It's like an oasis town filled with water, like water fountains everywhere. It's a gorgeous town. They find the mayor's house and he lets them in. Rui and Red say that they know Cynthia and that Cynthia told them a bit about the Cipher Syndicate. The mayor, Cade, acknowledges that Cynthia was a lovely lady. It was kind enough to tell him about the situation. They asked him if the Cipher Syndicate has had any business in Phoenix City, but Cade tells them no, saying that Cipher has never been in Phoenix City. They hear a commotion outside, and Red, Rui, and Cade check it out. They see a mysterious-looking man surrounded by angry citizens, and that he's hauling two duffel bags. The three go to the entrance of the city where Wes is revealed. The citizens are angry because they saw the numerous amounts of Pokeballs inside the duffel bags, and that they're accusing Wes of stealing the Pokeballs from somebody. Wes tells them that he had hijacked a truck and tries to tell them that it belonged to the Cipher Syndicate, but they don't listen. They're freaking out because Wes hijacked a truck, apparently. Wes says it's a misunderstanding when Rui steps in asking what the problem is, because they're confused because everyone's shouting at this man, Wes. One of the citizens tells her what he did, but Wes continues to defend his innocence. He loudly blurts that the truck belonged to the Cipher Syndicate and that they were hauling Shadow Pokémon. Rui is confused by this, like, Shadow Pokémon? What is that? But remembers the Pokémon with the dark aura that she saw back in a Gate Village, piecing together what Shadow Pokémon are. She tells Wes to send one of the Pokémon out. Outside the village at a safe distance, Wes, in front of Red and Rui, takes out a Pokeball out of one of the duffel bags and sends out the Makuhita. that is in that Pokeball. Rui gasps at the sight of it, as it has the same dark aura that the other Shadow Pokemon she saw had. Red asks her what's wrong, and Rui points out the dark aura. Red tells her he doesn't see it, and Rui asks Wes, but he doesn't either. The Makuhita is unstable and charges at Red, but Wes puts it back in the Pokeball quickly. Rui is confused about Red and Wes being unable to see the dark aura, and that she's the only one who can see it. Red asks Wes to tell them why he stole the Pokemon and what he's after. Wes tells them about how he took down Team Snag'em and how he wants to stop the Cipher Syndicate from taking over the Aura region, but purposely omits the fact that he was once a part of Team Snag'em. Wes sends out his Umbreon and Espeon and asks Rui to clarify they're not Shadow Pokemon in order to prove his innocence and dedication as a Pokemon trainer. They're clear, and Red admires his Pokemon. Red tells Wes that he just became a Pokemon trainer and shows him his Charmander, Bulbasaur, and Squirtle. He then asks Wes to teach him how to be a good Pokemon trainer. Wes laughs and refuses, but then eventually Red convinces him to teach him how to be a Pokemon trainer. Red asks them where they're going, and Wes tells them that Pirate Town, it's a rough overall spot. He tells them that that's where the truckers are being held in jail, so they're gonna go talk to them. Wes lets Rui and Red ride in his speeder, and they're off to Pirate Town. Nascor is on a call with one of the Cipher admins, Myra B, a tall, flamboyant man. I'm not gonna bother describing him. This is him. That's Myra B. As you can see, he has a giant Pokeball-shaped wig on his head, telling him that Wes, a former member of Team Snag'em, hijacked one of the Shadow Pokemon shipments and is likely going to Pirate Town where he is. When they get there, they immediately notice how rough the place is, and notice some people towards the entrance staring at them. Red asks where Pirate Town jail is, and Wes directs them when a thug stops them and confronts them, demanding that they hand over their wallets. This is where Wes's dry humor comes in. Wes pretends to be defenseless and scared, and jokingly asks if they can defend themselves with a Pokemon battle. Confused, the thug agrees. This guy is not very smart. Wes turns to Red and tells him that since Red is new, they can practice with this guy. The guy feels defeated before the battle even starts. Wes sends out his Espeon, and the guy sends out his coughing. Some people gather to watch. Pokemon battles are always apparently fun to watch in Pirate Town. And Wes tells Red to make sure to send in Pokemon that can deal out super effective moves on their opponent and counter their abilities, much like and regular Pokemon. The guy they're battling looks humiliated because he's being used as training, and people are recording, laughing. One guy is even doing a live stream. The coughing attempts to attack the Espeon, but Espeon quickly dodges and focuses intensely on the coughing, creating a trippy pinkish aura around the coughing, fainting it. The bystanders get a hoot out of it, and Red is amazed. Wes turns back to Red and tells him that that was the move Confusion, a psychic type move that is super effective on poison type Pokemon. We're learning the fundamentals. The guy reluctantly returns the fainted coughing to its Pokeball, and Wes tells Red to take the next one. Red steps up and sends in his Charmander. The guy looks at his other Pokeball and embarrassingly sends in his Roselia. The bystanders lose their minds. The Charmander looks back at Red in approval. Red looks at his Pokédex and looks at Charmander's moves. The guy they're battling, he finally gets a hoot. He laughs that this guy Red has no idea what he's doing, and that they're underestimating him. When Red looks up with determination, Red tells Charmander to use Ember. The guy now looks concerned, and Charmander spits out small blasts of fire at the Roselia. It dodges some of them, taking some damage, but then it dashes towards Charmander using Poison Sting. Charmander whimpers in pain, and Red looks nervous. Red, seeing Roselia's next attack, tells Charmander to dodge. Charmander leaps out of the way using Ember when it finds an opening. Roselia keeps charging Charmander, but Charmander is now keeping up with it. Eventually, Charmander uses a final Ember and defeats the Roselia. Relieved, Red looks around at everyone who gathered, and they're cheering for him. Wes then walks up to the defeated opponent, holds out his hand, reminding him of the traditional Pirate Town rule, and so the guy reluctantly gives him money. And Rui sees this. The three depart from the area, and Wes gives Red the money, telling him that he earned it. Rui questions why Wes took that guy's money. Wes tells her that hey, that's how Pokemon battles work, and that you guys have a lot to learn. They arrive at the police station, and Wes approaches one of the cops, telling him that he's the guy the bartender told him about, telling him that he'd be coming. The cop tells him that he's very well aware of who Wes is, with kind of a sarcastic tone, adding to his shady factor. And then the cop leads them to the cell where the truckers are. Wes asks the truckers how they make Shadow Pokemon, in which the truckers don't know. Wes then makes them tell him why they were shipping Shadow Pokemon to Phenac City. The trucker then tells him that they're shipping Shadow Pokemon everywhere, and soon all the Pokemon in the region will become Shadow Pokemon. Commanded by Cipher. Rui remembers what Cade said about Cipher not interfering with Phoenix City and asks them about that. The trucker tells Rui that the market for Shadow Pokemon is everywhere and that a weak mayor like Cade simply doesn't dig in places where he should. Wes thinks about the fact that if Shadow Pokemon are everywhere, then so is Cipher. He then tells the truckers to tell them where Cipher is hiding in Pirate Town, sending in his Espeon. The truckers refuse to tell him, but then Wes tells Espeon to use Mind Reader. Espeon concentrates, and the truckers spill the beans immediately, telling them about Myra B and the underground city beneath Pirate Town, in which Cipher took over. Espeon releases the move. The truckers are confused about what happened, and Wes thanks them for their cooperation. They leave the cell, and a mysterious figure in another cell watches them leaving. As they're leaving, they see Team Snag'em equipment, including Pokemon snag machines. Wes snatches one of those snag machines on the way out without anyone noticing. They go outside, and Wes leads them to a building that leads to the underground city. Wes tells them that he knew about the underground city, but didn't know that Cipher took over it. Rui has been pretty dang skeptical of Wes and asks him why he knows so much about Pirate Town. Wes casually tells them that he's from Pirate Town, oblivious to their dumbfounded faces. He goes to put the code on the keypad outside the door, but he gets it wrong, noticing that Cipher changed the password. He tries to play cool and tries it again, and he doesn't get it. Red sends in his Bulbasaur, looks at its moves on its Pokédex, and tells it to use Vine Whip. Bulbasaur latches onto the door with its vines and forcefully pries the door open. Wes, Rui, and Red rush into the base where they come across a rickety elevator. They go down the elevator just as Cipher peons show up, successfully avoiding the peons, so the peons don't see them. They make it to the underground city and get off as the peons realize the elevator is not there. The peon alerts the others that someone broke into the base and used the elevator to get to the underground city. In the underground city, Wes leads Rui and Red to a safe location, inside one of the houses with an antenna at the top. Wes calls Meg's name. A little girl shows up, happy to see them. Wes asks if Net's here, and she takes them to Net, a tech whiz who has been cracking Cipher's servers and database, and someone who's been working with Wes. Net informs them that he's been able to hack into the Shadow Pokemon database and find out what Shadow Pokemon have been distributed to different trainers. He hasn't gotten to the admin page yet, but he'll update them if they find anything. Net also informs them of Venus, who is the Cipher admin who controls the underground city. Wes tells Red that they'll inevitably run into enemies down here, but that they need to get to Venus and Myra B. They go outside and see a giant TV revealing Venus, who's kind of a drama queen, but she's probably just as flamboyant as Myra B. She tells the citizens that intruders have infiltrated the underground city and to find them. Two people see them by the house and confront them, not recognizing them as citizens of the underground city. Wes sends in his Umbreon and Red sends in his Squirtle, and they have a double battle starting a montage. They rush through the city, and Red's Squirtle, Bulbasaur, and Charmander are getting a lot of experience from battling these trainers. Their personalities are also revealed. Squirtle has a more goofy and optimistic personality. Bulbasaur has more of a quiet and reserved personality, but then Charmander has a focused and determined personality. Their personalities are key for later. Eventually, they get to a guy who has a Wailord, the biggest Pokemon in the game. He sends the massive Pokemon out in the underground, scaring Squirtle, who's currently in. Wes sends in Bulbasaur to fight it, and Wes is kind of coaching Red against this tough Pokemon. The Wailord attempts to attack Bulbasaur, but he's able to dodge the majority of its attacks. Red tells Bulbasaur to use Razor Leaf, and he does, sending a flurry of razor sharp leaves at the Wailord, fainting it. Bulbasaur looks back at Red, excited, when all of a sudden it glows white. Red is freaking out at first, but Wes lights up in joy. He excitedly tells Red that Bulbasaur is evolving, and then Bulbasaur evolves into Ivysaur. Red, Wes, and Rui make it to the main building where Venus is, and he calls Net, asking him if he found out what Shadow Pokemon the admins have. Net says he figured it out for Myra B, but not for Venus. Wes says he'll fight Venus and asks Rui to go with him so she can determine what Shadow Pokemon Venus has, and he asks Red if he can handle Myra B. Red is now confident in his abilities, and he agrees to do it. Wes tells Red to take a snagging machine that he nabbed from the police station. Rui asks why he has that, and Wes tells them that everyone from Pirate Town had one of these, but he knows he's lying. He still hasn't told them he was a part of Team Snag'em. Red takes the snag machine and stops by Net's house, asking him what Shadow Pokemon Myra B has. Net tells him to look for a Sudowoodo. Red is clueless what that is, but then learns what it is before the next scene. Wes and Rui make it inside the building, sneak their way around, and find where Venus is. He sees someone else there, a scientist, though kind of with an intimidating demeanor. The scientist leaves the building through the back exit, not noticing Wes and Rui. Red sneaks back onto the elevator and acts casual. He still sees to motion towards the top and sends out Squirtle to hide behind him. He makes it to the top and the Cipher peons are suspicious, asking him what he's doing there and checking for authentication. Red tries to play cool, but then quickly signals Squirtle to send a massive water attack. Surf, if you will, flooding the lobby and washing the peons outside the building. Red feels bad, but says that's not the worst thing he could have hit them with. Red rushes towards the top of the building, following Ned's GPS guide. Myra B is seen in his office vibing when he sees on the security cameras that there is a boy running up the stairs and plowing through security's Pokemon with his Pokemon, leaving Myra B very confused. Red barges through the door in Myra B's office where he is waiting for him. There is a disco ball, and Red is beyond confused. Myra B asks him if he's Wes, and Red says no. Myra B is confused about how a random trainer plowed through his security, but he's impressed. They have a confrontation, and they have a double battle, with two Pokemon facing two of his Pokemon. Myra B sends in his two Ludicolo, and Red sends in Ivysaur and Charmander. They fight for a while, and the Ludicolo are attempting to target Charmander with their water-type moves. Red is concerned and gets frustrated. After a while, after Charmander takes several water-type attacks, he is weakened. Red tries to tell Charmander to get back up and fight, but Charmander is struggling. Ivysaur has been protecting Charmander by taking some of the attacks, and that Ivy was able to feint one of the Ludicolo, leaving just the one standing. The second Ludicolo attempts to finish off Charmander, but Ivysaur pushes him out of the way, taking the attack and fainting. Myra B chuckles and Red is horrified. Charmander looks up and sees an unconscious Ivysaur and looks very determined, gaining his energy back. Charmander focuses intensely and shuts his eyes, and then opens them back up, revealing that he and his eyes are now glowing. Red is stunned as Charmander is suddenly evolving, and it throws Ludicolo and Myra B off. Charmander evolves into Charmeleon and charges at the Ludicolo. It panics and tries to hit Charmeleon with water attacks, but Charmeleon dodges them all, hitting Ludicolo with Flame Wheel, fainting the Ludicolo. Back in the underground, Wes has confronted Venus and they've begun their Pokemon battle, and she sends in her Steelix and Weavile. Wes sends in Espeon and his Staraptor. Wes has a Staraptor in this movie and tells Rui to let him know when Venus sends in her Shadow Pokemon. Myra B is dumbfounded and furious, asking him if he wants a piece of this. Myra B sends in Sudowoodo, his Shadow Pokemon. Red doesn't see the dark aura around Sudowoodo, remember that, but knows that's what he's looking for. Red sends in Squirtle to help out Charmeleon and tells them to work together to take down the Sudowoodo. Sudowoodo is hyper aggressive and charges at Red's Pokemon, but they coordinate their attacks well to get good hits on Sudowoodo. Weavile tries to hit Espeon with Dark Pulse, but Espeon dodges, hitting it with Dazzling Gleam, causing significant damage. He then has Staraptor use close combat on the Steelix while dodging its attacks. Rui is amazed. She's like, this trainer is cold. And Venus is panicking. Charmeleon dodges another tackle from Sudowoodo, and Squirtle hits it with Water Gun, weakening it even more. Red sees his opportunity, and he throws a Pokeball with his snag machine that he got from Wes. Myra B asks what he's doing, and is horrified when he sees the Sudowoodo enter the Pokeball. He tries to stop it, but Squirtle sends a blast of water at his feet, making him trip. Red watches the Pokeball with the Sudowoodo still struggling, but then finally catches it. Red celebrates with his Pokemon and leaves Myra B getting arrested by the Pirate City police force. Weavile finally hits Espeon with Dark Pulse, fainting it. Wes sends in Umbreon, and he's running out of options. Staraptor faints the Steelix, and Venus sends in Suicune, a legendary Pokemon from the Johto region. It looks beyond powerful, and Wes looks concerned and prepares to hear the worst from Rui. The Suicune is Venus's Shadow Pokemon. Red restores his Pokemon and rushes towards the elevator in the underground city. Umbreon faints the Weavile and teams up with Staraptor to fight the Suicune. Suicune uses Hydro Pump and releases a massive stream of water at Umbreon. It dodges and uses Dark Pulse. Staraptor attempts to charge at it and use a flying attack, but Suicune hits it with Ice Beam, fainting Staraptor. Now all that remains is Umbreon. When things look bleak, Suicune gets hit by several Razor Leaves at high speed, damaging it and forcing it back. Wes looks back and sees Red with his Pokemon, who have gotten much stronger as a result from fighting Myra B. The two of them tag team, and Ivysaur works with Umbreon to attack Suicune together until Wes can throw a snag Pokeball at it. Wes sees his opportunity and throws an Ultra Ball at it with his snag machine, catching the Suicune. Venus is devastated, and Red, Wes, and Rui celebrate, with Wes taking the Suicune. Wes then forces Venus to leave, and she runs away in terror. Red tells them that he defeated Myra B, and Wes commends him for how much stronger he has become as a trainer. They leave the underground city, now free of Cipher, and Red gets a call from Cynthia. Cynthia tells them that she figured out a way to restore Shadow Pokemon and for them to come to a Gate Village. At the surface of pirate town above the underground city. Venus escapes, but then she gets arrested by the Pirate City police force, marking 2 admins arrested. Nastor is on a video call with Dakim, another Cipher admin. He tells him that Myra B and Venus have been defeated and tells him to get the second batch of Shadow Pokémon from Mount Battle. Wes brings Red and Rui to a gate village, and they meet Cynthia at the shrine behind the city. The shrine that was shown at the beginning of the movie, and she's holding a flute. They reunite, and they introduce her to Wes. Cynthia sends out one of the Shadow Pokémon and sends it to the shrine. Wes asks Cynthia how she got a Shadow Pokémon, and she holds up a snag machine, telling them that they're not the only ones who've been busy. She plays the flute, and serene magic eases out of the shrine and onto the Shadow Pokémon, clearing it of its dark aura. Rui is amazed and tells them that she can't see the dark aura anymore. After seeing this, Wes gets out the duffel bags of Pokeballs that he has inside. Rui's grandmother let her borrow the flute, known for summoning the magic of Celebi to this shrine to open closed hearts. That was the terminology. Now there's a montage, a wholesome montage, of the crew sending out different Shadow Pokemon from the duffel bags and restoring them with the shrine's magic, including Sudowoodo and Suicune. And they've sent all their Pokemon out to enjoy the show. They get to their last Pokemon when Wes gets a call. It's a frantic message from the Ore Region Police. A Cipher admin has barged into Mount Battle, getting the second batch of Shadow Pokemon from the mountain. The 4 group up and rush to Mount Battle. I'm talking Red, Wes, Rui, and Cynthia. Dakim and his crew plow through the police force, and trucks are getting ready to ship the Shadow Pokemon. Dakim is now fully revealed, and he is shown to be a massive, ridiculously strong man who uses his own strength to take on everyone there. Think of Bane. It's pretty much this guy. The goons now once again hold everyone at Mount Battle hostage, while a few of the goons go with Dakim up the mountain. Wes, Red, Rui, and Cynthia get there, and the Ore Region Police Force explain the situation. The 4 chase after Dakim's crew. They stop in the lobby when they realize that the goons have sent out Shadow Pokemon, preventing them from moving on. Cynthia sends out her Spiritomb, and it uses a move to torment the minds of all the Shadow Pokemon there, giving Wes, Red, and Rui time to rush to the top. Cynthia says that won't be the last of them, and that she'll hold them off from pursuing them. Dakim is running up platforms, and goons are stopping, attempting to hold them off with their Pokemon battles, but Wes and Red are quickly overpowering them with their Pokemon. Dakim and his goons make it to the top of the mountain and into the surface of the mountain to retrieve the Pokeballs with the Shadow Pokemon from the goons inside that were taking the Shadow Pokemon from the Alpha Shadow Pokemon. The peon following him tells him that Wes and his friends are after him. Dakim tells the peons with him to take the shipment down to the base while he deals with the pursuers personally. Wes, Red, and Rui end up at one of the checkpoints when Dakim leaps down from a high place and lands in front of them. The 3 of them are dumbfounded by his intense stupidity, and Wes steps up angrily, asking where the Shadow Pokemon are. Dakim mocks him, asking him, who knows? And then charges at Wes, wanting smoke. He dodges and Red sends in Charmeleon. Wes sends in Espeon and they start a double battle. Red sends Rui back to a safe distance and they go up against Dakim's Golem and Claydol. Espeon and Charmeleon fight together and they're able to dish out more attacks than taking hits. Red does notice that Charmeleon is taking quite a few hits and this frustrates Red. Red pushes on the Charmeleon, telling him to get up when he gets knocked down. Wes notices this and looks at Red for a moment like, Charmeleon is weakened from the battle, and Red angrily returns Charmander back to its Pokeball, sending in Squirtle, using Surf to feint both the Golem and Claydol. Red mutters that wasn't so hard. Wes tells him to chill out, and Red snaps at him. Squirtle looks back at Red with excitement, expecting congratulations for his successful attack from his trainer, but is disappointed when he sees Red not paying attention and arguing with Wes. Dakim is angry and sends in Rhydon and Marshtomp. Wes returns Espeon and sends in Staraptor, while Red uses a potion on Charmeleon, returning a disappointed Squirtle and sending in Ivysaur. Ivysaur takes on Marshtomp while Espeon takes on the Rhydon. It's an even battle between them, but eventually Ivysaur and Espeon are able to overpower Dakim's Pokemon. Dakim is angry and sends in his Shadow Pokemon, Entei, the second Johto legendary Pokemon. Rui tells them that's the one. Red returns Ivysaur and sends in Squirtle. Enraged, the Shadow Pokemon Entei releases a blast of fire and Espeon protects Squirtle, weakening it. Squirtle cowers over Espeon and angrily attacks Entei, while Red shouts no at him, telling Squirtle not to charge at the legendary Pokemon. It's too late though. Entei charges at Squirtle, bites him and slams him on the ground, fainting him. Red is fuming, asking Squirtle why he did that, bringing him back into the Pokeball. Wes shouts that's enough at Red, but Red retaliates, reminiscing that he doesn't have any more super effective moves for the fire-type Entei, and he sends Charmeleon back in, who has been restored previously in this battle. Umbreon returns to battle and fights with Charmeleon, and eventually they overpower the Entei while Dakim shouts in rage. He's a very loud individual. Charmeleon hits Entei with a powerful blow, weakening the Entei, giving Wes the opportunity to throw an Ultra Ball with the Snag Machine at the Entei, catching it. Enraged that Dakim has no more Pokemon left and that his Shadow Pokemon just got stolen from him, Dakim charges at Red personally. He's frozen in fear because a very large man is running at him at high speed, but Charmeleon pushes Red out of the way, and Dakim charges into Charmeleon, knocking him off the platform, sending him falling off the mountain. And Red instinctively sends an Ivysaur to catch Charmeleon with its vines, or more specifically Vine Whip. Ivysaur releases a vine from it, desperately attempting to catch Charmeleon, who is falling, but it doesn't reach him. A terrified Charmeleon focuses up, and his eyes glow again. Dakim turns to the three and tells them that he will destroy the three of them without his Pokemon to make sure they don't ever step up to Cipher again. All of a sudden, Charizard, the fully evolved version of Red's Fire-type starter, flies back up to the platform, emerging after just evolving from Charmeleon. He lets out a roar, and Red, Wes, and Rui are greatly relieved to see him alive. He did not need to pull a Gwen Stacy. Charizard swiftly picks up Dakim and flies down to the base of the mountain while he screams. Down at the base, Cynthia has helped the Ore police force take down Cipher's forces at Mount Battle when they hear Dakim screaming, with Charizard carrying him. The police force opens up their van, and Charizard throws Dakim inside, returning up the mountain to his trainer. It is a glorious moment. Ivysaur looks back in guilt at Red for being unable to reach Charmander initially, but Red tells him it's alright. He did everything he could, realizing his fault for yelling at his Pokemon and Wes. After this, Wes and Red reconcile. This is a deep moment coming up right here. Red asks Wes if it's wrong to want to become stronger, and this is when Wes finally explains himself. Wes says that the only way he could survive growing up in Pirate Town was becoming stronger, and a stronger Pokemon trainer, and then the fact that he joined Team Snag'em. He's finally telling Red and Rui this, and they become concerned because he's been showing a lot of red flags. But then Wes tells them that Pirate Town was a hotspot for Team Snag'em members, and he joined because he thought he could get away from all that. He quickly became one of their best snaggers and grew stronger as a trainer, but he realized he was losing himself in the process and not cherishing his Pokemon as friends, rather as tools and weapons to enhance him as a trainer. He says that's why he didn't want to teach Red, because he didn't want Red to end up like him or do something he'll regret as a trainer. Wes gains Rui's full respect now, and she commends him for having the strength and courage to take down Team Snag'em and to step up to the Cipher Syndicate. I think this is the point where you guys would really start liking Wes's character. So after their conversation, Wes gets a call from Net saying that he found where Shadow Pokemon are initially getting taken to after being transported from Mount Battle. He gives them the location, and it's a lab in the middle of the desert. He says that the chief of the lab, the final Cipher admin, is there. Wes and Rui plan to go, but Red chooses to stay back and train his Pokemon on Mount Battle, saying that he'll do it the right way this time, and that he'll meet them there when he's ready. And Wes and Rui rush towards the bottom of the mountain to vacate Mount Battle. Wes and Rui see Cynthia on their way out, and Cynthia's going back to Phenac City to investigate something. Rui and Wes stop at a gate village and restore the newly caught Entei with the flute by the shrine, then use the GPS to get to the lab. On Mount Battle, Red sends out his Charizard, Ivysaur, and Squirtle. That trio might look pretty similar, and he vows to be a better trainer for them and tells them that he's ready to train them the right way. And they're getting hyped up! Now there's another montage of Red training his Pokemon against trainers on Mount Battle, and his Pokemon are getting stronger and stronger. So once Wes and Rui make it to the laboratory, they go inside and see scientists examining Pokeballs with Shadow Pokemon inside, and studying what they are and recording them in their systems and database. This makes Wes's blood boil, and they continue on looking for the final Cipher admin. On Mount Battle, Red makes it to the top of the mountain, or to the top of where Mount Battle is accessible for people, because they're on platforms. They're not like on the actual mountain. And he is facing the Battle Master Somek at the top. He sends in Sudowoodo and Squirtle. Sudowoodo is also part of that little thing there, and they fight Somek's Pokemon. There's a montage of Red encouraging his Pokemon instead of pushing pushing them on in a negative manner, and they're able to work together much better as a result of that. As Red's Pokemon finish off Somic's final Pokemon, a surge of light comes out of a cave near where they're battling. Red turns around, concerned. He rushes towards the cave where it came out of and goes inside. Inside is the comet that struck Mount Battle at the beginning of the movie, but in reality, it's the subspace particle. Red doesn't see anything else in the cave, and he rushes out of Mount Battle, calling Cynthia. Wes and Rui eventually make it to the classified facility, which is kind of deep below the facility, seeing the admin scientist from the underground city there. Wes tells Rui that's him, and they go to confront him. Cynthia's in Phenac City, and Red tells her that he found the comet, and that he thinks that is what's making Pokemon become Shadow Pokemon, and that he's meeting up with Wes and Rui at the lab, and he needs Cynthia to pick him up. Cynthia picks up Red at Mount Battle and takes him to the lab. While they're getting there, Cynthia tells Red she was looking into Phenac City and how things seem too peaceful there, despite Cipher supposedly being all over the region. Red tells her the truckers told them that the black market exists everywhere, and that the trucker said that the mayor doesn't dig into places that he should. Red makes it to the lab, pursuing after Wes and Rui, and Cynthia speeds back to Phenac City. The scientist admin sees Wes and Rui rush at him and smiles. They have a confrontation, and the admin reveals himself as Ein, the final Cipher admin. They start their Pokemon battle with Wes sending out Entei and Espeon. They fight for a while, and both trainers are evenly matched. Rui gets a call from Red while the battle is happening, and he tells him that he's here and that he found that comet on Mount Battle. Rui tells Wes that Red's here, and Wes tells Red to hurry up. Entei uses Flamethrower, fainting one of Ein's Pokemon, and then Red is seen rushing through the lab. Ein's Lantern, that's a Pokemon, uses Hydro Pump on Entei, fainting it. The Pokemon are kind of nerfed a bit after not being Shadow Pokemon. In this movie, Wes sends in Suicune and immediately dodges a Thunderbolt from Lantern. It's kind of a dirty move from Ein, immediately using a move after someone just sent in their Pokemon. Red makes it there and sends in Charizard. Charizard and Suicune work together to get through Ein's Pokemon, when he eventually sends in his Shadow Pokemon, Raikou, the final Johto legendary Pokemon. I can't remember if there's more than just those three, but it's those main three. Charizard uses Flare Blitz on it, but Raikou dodges it at almost light speed. There's one thing you need to know about Raikou. Raikou is disrespectfully fast. Think of the Flash, kinda. That's pretty much this guy. Raikou's Speed Blitz is at Suicune using Spark on it and fainting Suicune. Wes and Red are nervous. Even with the both of them fighting this guy, they're struggling, and Wes sends in Umbreon. Charizard and Umbreon eventually get Raikou down to low health, and Wes uses another Ultra Ball to snag the Raikou from Ein, catching it. Ein is furious, but the Aura police force shows up in time, arresting the scientists and Ein. Wes asked Red if he got stronger. I mean, it's kind of a rhetorical question, but Red confirms that he has indeed gotten stronger. As Ein is being taken away, he shouts that Shadow Pokemon will flood the Aura region, and that it doesn't matter that this lab was shut down. Remember, Cypher's everywhere. Nastor hears about all 4 of the admins getting arrested and is enraged. He looks at his screen showing camera footage of Red, Wes, and Rui. In Phenac City, Cynthia takes Cade and finds a back area and finds a secret trapdoor. She goes down it, and the two of them see a plethora of Shadow Pokemon beneath Phenac City. They find a computer and see where this batch of Shadow Pokemon is going to. Realgam City. Cade reminisces over not being able to see through this city being a stronghold for Shadow Pokemon, and he has a moment of realizing he's an idiot. Red gets a call from Cynthia. She tells him that the next batch of Shadow Pokemon is going to Realgam City. Red, Rui, and Wes go to a gate and restore Raikou. Then they go to Realgam City and navigate through the massive, sparkling city. Remember, in the games it's just a tower, but in this movie, it's an entire city. They see that the tower itself, Realgam Tower, it has a coliseum at the top, like what I was mentioning earlier. Red tells them that they'll need to register as battlers in order to get to the Shadow Pokemon personally. They register, and the battles begin at the top of the coliseum. Red and Wes register as a team, and they go up against teams of 2, getting through them successfully. Rui isn't allowed to be with them on the battlefield because she's not a battler, but she is watching from the stands next to them, so they can still hear her if anything happens. But something is wrong. They haven't come across any Shadow Pokemon, even though there was supposedly a massive batch headed there by now. At this time, the batch would have gotten there. And this was even with confirmation from Rui in the stands. And Wes is very concerned by this. It's like, if the Shadow Pokemon aren't here, then where are they in this city? Red and Wes make it through the little tournament that they had, and then the screen at the top of the stadium shows Nastor smiling. He talks directly to Wes, Rui, and Red. He congratulates them on making it this far, but that they will not stop Cipher's plan. The call ends, and an elevator reaches the top of the stadium, and Nastor walks out confronting them personally. They have a confrontation, and Wes and Red prepare to battle him. Nastor sends out two Pokemon, Scizor and Walrein, and both of them are Shadow Pokemon. Charizard attempts to use fire attacks on Scizor, but he is literally too quick and dodges them, using a devastating Iron Head to send Charizard flying across the battlefield, and it looked painful. And then the Scizor just pretty much starts clowning Charizard, because Scizors are low-key overpowered. But Red has grown as a character. He's grown from being frustrated by this, and he's gone to showing concern for Charizard and showing compassion for Charizard as he just gets absolutely mollywopped by this Scizor. And in doing this, Charizard gets back up and fights on his own without having to worry about Red yelling at him to get up. Red and Wes, they both have grown very much in their characters. The battle continues, and Charizard and Wes's Umbreon are persevering against Nastor's Shadow Pokemon, keeping up a good pace. At this point, a few of Wes and Red's Pokemon have fainted, including Charizard and Umbreon, but Wes and Red have also been able to snag some of Nastor's Shadow Pokemon, stunning the crowd. They're literally stealing this guy's Pokemon. Nastor gets to his last Pokemon, Metagross. Red restores Charizard and sends him back in, while Wes sends in Entei. Just to be clear, Metagross is a Steel and Psychic type, so these are good Pokemon to send in against this guy. Metagross uses Meteor Mash on Entei, and it does quite a bit of damage, but it gives Charizard a window to use Fire Blast, getting Metagross down quite a bit of health. And then in doing this, Wes uses a Snag Ball to catch Nastor's final Pokemon. Nastor is stunned by this. Absolutely shook, absolutely flabbergasted, absolutely discombobulated, beyond perplexed. After a minute of processing all this, the crowd goes wild, and Wes calls the police. Cynthia, Cade, and the police arrive, and they join them at the top. The police arrest Nastor, but Nastor sees Cade, the mayor of Phoenix City, approaching, and Nastor smiles. Cynthia huddles up with Wes, Red, and Rui, and talks to them in secret, about to tell them who she strongly thinks is really running Cipher. Wes asks Cynthia if she's sure. Remember, we don't know at this point, and she is very much sure. Wes sends in Espeon and tells it to use Mind Reader on Cade, the mayor. The same thing he did to the truckers earlier. Wes forces Cade to reveal himself, and he confesses to being the true leader of Cipher. Espeon releases his move, and Cade sends in one of his Shadow Pokemon, Tyranitar, using Rock Blast, a projectile Rocky attack, at Wes, Rui, and Red directly. Alright, remember, Shadow Pokemon attack people. Wes quickly sends in Raikou and has it use Thunderbolt to deflect the attack, and it hits Tyranitar. Some of the lightning reflects off of Tyranitar, and it actually hits Cade's face, corrupting his face and giving him a menacing look. This is Cade, and this is his other form. We're about to find out his real name. He steps in, and the crowd is freaking out. As this is happening, Rui, still in the stands, is attempting to help the crowd evacuate. Cade reveals his true name, Evice, and reveals him as the true leader of Cipher, officially. He holds a detonator in his hand, and bombs planted at the bottom of the tower are revealed. He presses the detonator, and the bombs explode, making the tower tip over and begin falling. People have successfully evacuated the stadium by now, so the only people still in the stadium now are Nastor, Evice, the police force, Cynthia, Rui, Wes, and Red. Rui enters the battlefield and joins them, and that Evice tells them that this tower will be rebuilt under Cipher's name and control, and that Shadow Pokemon will be the only Pokemon existing in the Aura region. He sends out his Salamence and flies away. Everyone there sends out their flying-type Pokemon, and they are able to leave, with Rui flying on Wes's Staraptor with him. So everyone now in the stadium has been able to fly out the stadium with their Pokemon. The tower is close to hitting the ground, and people are still working on getting out of the way when Wes sends out Espeon. Espeon sees the tower falling and focuses intensely hard. Harder than he has ever focused before, and he is able to put a psychic aura around the tower, momentarily halting it and giving people time to escape. When Wes sees that the area is all clear, no more people are trapped, he brings Espeon back in, and they make it out before the tower collides into Realgam City. Red, flying on Charizard, talks to Wes on Rui, riding on Staraptor, and then Cynthia riding on her Togekiss. Red tells them that Evice is most likely going to mount battle to where the Comet is to finish the Shadow Pokemon plan. They fly to the base of Mount Battle and see a dark cloud appearing over the mountain, with lightning and light pulses coming out of the mountain, insinuating that the Comet is kind of out of control. The people inside Mount Battle, like the lobby, evacuate, and the four help them get to safety. They plan to fly to the top where Evice is, but suddenly they hear a group of people screaming, rushing towards them. This is the most ridiculous thing. Wes recognizes the voices and turns around in absolute annoyance, seeing Team snag him, with their leader at the front, charging towards them. Wes says that their timing literally could not have been worse, and offers to hold them off while Red, Rui, and Cynthia fly to the top of the mountain. Wes sends out all his Pokemon, Umbreon, Espeon, Staraptor, Suicune, Entei, and Raikou, to fight Team Snag'em. Remember, there's more that they cured, but they aren't using them. They're in the PC, or whatever trainers use. Red, Rui, and Cynthia make it to the very top of the mountain with the help of their flying Pokemon, and they see Evice standing before their Shadow Pokemon supplier, finally revealing the Alpha Shadow Pokemon to be Yveltal, who is a Shadow Pokemon itself, manipulating subspace energy with the Comet/subspace particle. If you guys are not familiar with who Yveltal is, it's about to get explained. Red discovers it's from the Kalos region and realizes that this is where Shadow Pokemon have come from. Xerneas and Yveltal are the legendary Pokemon in the Pokemon games X and Y, and now Yveltal is being used as the Alpha Shadow Pokemon. And Evice explains this. He explains that Yveltal is the Alpha Shadow Pokemon, and that Cipher forced it to turn itself into a Shadow Pokemon after they caught it back in the Kalos region, and then using the Comet to turn other Pokemon into Shadow Pokemon. He says that by controlling all Pokemon and making them Shadow Pokemon, he will be able to command a black market empire throughout the whole Ore region. Cynthia and Red send out their Pokemon and face off against Evice's Pokemon inside the massive mountain. This cave is pretty much just the entire interior of this place, so it's actually a very much spacious place that they're in. What Red saw before was only a glimpse of the particles, so he couldn't see all this expansive stuff when he was in there earlier. They fight for a while, and Cynthia and Red are successful in snagging most of Evice's Shadow Pokemon, and this leaves Tyranitar versus Cynthia's Garchomp. Evice laughs like a maniac and releases Yveltal from its confinement, releasing a massive energy surge from the subspace particle, or the Comet. Cynthia tells Red that she has one last trick up her sleeve. She takes out a Master Ball that she has, and she sends out Xerneas, the other legendary Pokemon from Kalos. Cynthia says she's been following Cipher ever since they attacked the Sinnoh region and followed them to the Kalos region, catching Xerneas before they could corrupt both of them. Charizard and Garchomp fight Tyranitar, and Garchomp uses Earthquake, weakening the Tyranitar. Cynthia snags it with a Snag Ball. Remember, she has a snag machine as well. And then Xerneas and Yveltal fight and hit each other with their respective energies. With Yveltal being a Shadow Pokemon, Xerneas doesn't stand a chance, and Yveltal overpowers it, leaving Cynthia devastated, because that was the last trick up her sleeve. Even with Garchomp being her most powerful Pokemon, there's not much it can do against a legendary Alpha Shadow Pokemon. But this is where Charizard comes in. Red sends in Squirtle and Ivysaur to join Charizard, and they begin their final confrontation. Evice tells Red, alright, he's about to get real personal with him. Evice tells Red that Red doesn't have any right to stand up to him, hearing that Red was kind of a ruthless trainer in pursuit of getting stronger. Of course, this is exaggerated, but it's a villain we're talking about here. Red acknowledges his past selfishness, but tells him that's not who he is anymore. Red says that he realizes Pokemon are not meant to be used as weapons to improve trainers, but instead they're meant to be allies, and that they're his best friends. Charizard roars and attacks Yveltal directly with Flare Blitz. In the movie, Flare Blitz doesn't tank Charizard as hard as it does in the games, and both of them go flying across the mountain, while Ivysaur and Squirtle help fight against the Shadow Pokemon, because Evice actually has a few more. I don't know if I said that was his last Pokemon, but he actually has a few more. It is a fierce battle between Yveltal and Charizard, and they both have incredible energy output capabilities, and they're hitting each other with blasts of their own energy. They fight for a while, with Charizard sneaking in hits, and eventually Yveltal grows weaker. Evice sees that the subspace particle is about to release another wave of energy, and it releases another one, sending everyone flying. Red slowly gets up, groaning in pain, as he also sees Yveltal also struggle, getting up and heading for the subspace particle, dragging Charizard behind it. Even though Charizard was kind of hanging with Yveltal, Yveltal still overpowered Charizard. And so now Yveltal is literally dragging Charizard towards the particle, because he wants to now make Charizard a Shadow Pokemon. It's implied, but it doesn't specifically get said. Red's still struggling to get up. He gets a Snag Ball ready, and he throws it at Yveltal, the Alpha Shadow Pokemon. Evice tries, no! But Yveltal gets captured inside of the Snag Ball and is caught. Evice is devastated and charges at Red, but Squirtle sweeps Evice out of the mountain with Surf and slides him all the way down the mountain like a water slide, where the Ore police force is waiting for him. Cipher has officially been defeated. Red looks down at his newly taught Yveltal, and he and Cynthia gaze at the subspace particle, reminiscing that it caused all of their problems. They can't take it with them because both of them, they're good trainers, but at the end of the day, they're normal people, so they can't exactly pick up this thing. So the three of them, Red, Rui, and Cynthia, they go to the bottom of the mountain, leaving the subspace particle because they can't do anything with it. And they celebrate defeating Cipher. And then, epilogue. But before I start the post-credit scene, there's one more scene before that. After the team restores the Shadow Pokémon at Celebi's shrine in a gate village, Cynthia challenges Red to a Pokemon battle. And then before it gets to the post-credit scene, the credit scene would be Cynthia and Red fighting. It'd be like images of them fighting each other. And so, in the post-credit scene, is revealed that Red wins that battle. I know, it's incredibly unrealistic, but everyone is impressed. And it was also a friendly battle, not exactly high stakes like Champion of Sinnoh. So Cynthia might have gone easy on Red, and then after that, they eat lunch at Rui's grandparents' house, still celebrating that they just took down Cipher. And then once they're done with that, Red goes to an outdoor Pokemon Center, because not all of them in this region are strictly inside buildings. There are some Pokemon Centers that are outside, and he gives the nurse Sudowoodo and Yveltal and their Pokeballs to the nurse, and prepares to give them the rest. When all of a sudden, back at Mount Battle, the subspace particle is acting up again, and it goes up into the sky. So Cipher might have been screwed over by this anyway, but too late now, they're already defeated, and it leaves Mount Battle. And then all of a sudden, a portal opens up in the sky, and Red gets sucked into the portal, without having yet reclaimed Yveltal and Sudowoodo. He still has Squirtle, Ivysaur, and Charizard with him, but he hasn't gotten his other two Pokemon. Cynthia, Wes, Rui, and the citizens of a gate village see this and try to save him, but it's too late. Red gets sucked into the subspace portal and disappears. And that is the Pokemon movie. Wow! I was overly specific. I did a lot more generalizing with these first three movies, but since I know this story real well and that it's, I guess, mostly accurate to the Pokemon Coliseum game, I probably went into a lot more detail with some of these things, but I don't know, you guys might appreciate that. For those who play the game, could obviously point out the differences, but man, what happened to Red? Alright, what happened to him? There's so many unanswered questions that'll eventually get revealed. So far, Mario has gotten sucked into a subspace portal. Zelda's been kidnapped by the Master Hand and Ganondorf. Samus got sucked into a portal. Ridley's corpse ended up with Ganondorf. And then the most important detail for next week's installment of the Nintendo Cinematic Universe. One of the subspace particles lands in the Mushroom Kingdom. Next week, we will be picking this up. The Super Mario Bros. Are getting their sequel. And then after that is officially the first Super Smash Bros. Movie. So everyone, thank you as always for supporting this series so far. I'm again so glad that you guys are enjoying this. And that even though most Pokemon trainers like protagonists already understand the concept of friendship and learning to work together with their Pokemon as allies, both Red and Wes needed to work towards that and grow out of their selfish ways and learn to work with their Pokemon as allies instead of just bettering themselves. So that was kind of the purpose of this story, turning Red and Wes both into selfless trainers, and also to see the subspace particle in more than just an end credit scene. So everyone, like I said, we have Super Mario Bros. 2 next week. I'll reveal the name of the sequel next week. I mean, if you've already watched the overview video, you should know all the names by now, but I'll officially say it next week. It's going to be great. I'm pumped to talk to you guys about that. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next installment. So everyone, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you guys hit the like button normally and subscribe to join the herd. Become a VIP herd member today, and I'll see you guys in the next video.